Hey there, YouTube. This ain't really the best thing, but we got a 394 back for Dave, and I've already torn it apart, and I'll show you what's going on with it. Alrighty, so it's 394, the 58 millimeter big bore kit I'd rebuilt for Dave a while back, and it had scored up and locked up on him. So I've already torn it apart. We got it right here. Not too bad. I just got a new top end kit for this from Hyway again. But let me show you what's going on inside this. I guess it locked up apparently, but once it cooled down, it ran again. And then it locked up again. Then we decided to tear it apart. And every time I ran this saw with him, it was actually running rich, and I'm surprised it leaned out or overheated here. So I might actually pressure test this saw. That's the exhaust side. She's pretty banged up. I don't think there's any saving this one. But, you know, some of the imperfections in the Nicosil or chrome or whatever it is didn't really affect the saw, I don't think. You can kind of see it in there, but you can see it's not really carboned up. This saw never really, I don't think this saw had 4 hours of runtime on it. And we got, you know, piston out of it. You can kind of see how your transfers are flowing. It's kind of interesting. You got your primaries and secondaries, and they look about even, so that's pretty neat. This would be the intake side. There's a little scuffing, but not much. All right, so this is the old cylinder over here. This is the new one. I've got a plug to replace that. For now, I would like to actually put one on, but anyhow, we got another 58 millimeter hyway big bore kit pop up. That was really, I think that was the only thing available. I actually did want to get a 56 for him, go back down, and just visually expecting it, it's actually way better than this one was. For one, there used to be all this casting left over around the intake, and it's not there, and I had to grind it all off this one. As you can see in the past, I'd been in there and ground it down. There's not as many dents and hits on it. There's only one over in here, so I might just take a little sandpaper and kind of smooth that out. Actually, there's another one here. The other one had a pretty bad dent in it right there where that chip is, and it would have marked the piston up when you put it in. I've seen on the internet Hyway pistons. This is supposedly a Hyway brand, which it has a Hyway box, but it doesn't have any it doesn't say Hyway in the casting, which is a little weird, so I'm a little surprised. It's very well, the chroming is way better on this one. There's a little marking down in there, which I think that's alright. I'm not going to worry about it. Cross hatching's okay, and it looks good. But there's always one, this nipple's the last thing to check, and sure enough there's something in there, so I got to clean that out. You can see that little piece of metal. They just press it in and the metal gets kind of pushed in. So it looks pretty good. So the last thing I noticed too is the piston is way better. That weird lump is still down there, but the edges have been broken already, which I think is really nice. I might actually do it again, but they're definitely getting better with their products, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so I've just kind of been looking around, inspecting things, and I want to go take this decomp off. And it's literally, this is how tight it is. Oh, look at that. So I think that's the problem right there. And why it was leaking. It might not actually be bad, but it definitely wasn't tight. Must have vibrated loose. The spark plug looks really good. It's a kind of like a coffee brown color, and I'll take that off next and show you. And the plug wasn't even tight, so that was another problem too. It's a little oily, but it looks good. It's been burning all right. It's a coffee colored, so alrighty. So I'm on Dave's saw here, and I'm timing it. Figured out my top dead center using a dial gauge here. I just rested up here, figured out where top dead center was, and I've timed it. And this is the 58 millimeter big bore, and I've got, it's within a degree, so I actually think the exhaust is opening at 106 degrees, but the first time I measured it, it was 105. Closes 251, duration of 146, transfers open at 126, close at 231, and this is a 21 degree blowdown. Then intake opens at 281, closes 75 degrees for 154 degrees duration. And I'm going to adjust my exhaust to about 100 degrees, 101, get a 25 degree blowdown, and see how that affects it here. I think that'll be all right. So what I've done here, to figure out how much material I need to take off, first step, I brought the degrees to 101 approximately, and I take a scribe up in here, and I scribe the top of the piston, or the side of the piston, and if I move it down here, I'll show you the scribe on it, and we'll measure that. Alright, so if you look real closely here, you can see a tiny little scribe mark right above my fingernail. If you measure from that scribe mark to the top of the piston, that's how much material I'm going to take off to get my 101 degrees of exhaust timing. And also what I do is I score the side of the exhaust port to see how much space I've got between the skirt. I'm going to try to leave about 2 millimeters that the skirt overhangs off the exhaust port on the sides. So I might be able to take a little bit off this port on the sides as well, which I think I can do. And I can reshape that. Alrighty, so I got my porting complete as good as I can get it. It ain't very pretty, I can tell you that much. I got some chattering up in here on both sides, and the chrome was flaking off really bad where I started to grind. You can see it there on the bottom right, and I've been sanding and smoothing it out so it hopefully doesn't chip anymore. Same thing happened on this side. It was pretty bad. See down the ports. I'm limited on tooling. I only got a Dremel, so I did that little, I don't know, you almost want to call it a boost port. There's really not much to take out because the piston needs to clear that, but it's something. I did grind the top of the exhaust roof off there. So it should be about 4 degrees of timing. And if you do take material out of your exhaust, you might as well take a little bit out of here anyhow. And I've actually widened it a little bit, about 2 millimeters. It's well, it's hard to see, but anyhow, I'm gonna clean this up, install it, and we'll see how she runs. And actually, before I forget, the last thing, as soon as I started porting this, I got a chip at the bottom of that exhaust port, which it's right down in there. It's not focusing. it doesn't really impress me. So it is what it is. I'll try it, see if it runs. So, all right. So while I was porting this, the pulse line nipple there fell out. So when I find it here, I'm going to use a little sleeve retainer on it just to make sure it doesn't fall out again. And I'm going to install the carburetor on that. I've got the piston on and the rings. I filed them a little bit. I got them at, I think, about 8,000. So I don't have a feeler gauge, so I had to use a different measurement. But anyhow, we'll get it on. While I'm in here, I want to show you the kill switch lead and how it's routed. So it comes off your coil over here, comes into this plastic housing. It's supposed to have clips that hold it down here and here, but obviously they're broken. There's one, a fourth one here. Then what happens is it sneaks up through here. All right, where this piece goes in. It has the blue thumb hole. So what this is here on 394s is, instead of a screwdriver, they have this little adapter that goes through the hole, and you use your thumb to actually bring your carburetor idle either high or low. You can't really adjust your actual low and high jets, but at least you can control the butterfly here, which is kind of a nice feature. If you get your chainsaw kind of running away, you can just turn it back a little bit so the chain's not whipping around. Anyhow, on the back of this little housing, there's a little notch at the bottom. So that's for the lead right here. So you kind of just slip this down in here. Kind of just should fall in the hole like that. So I hope that's a good demonstration. And then this little blue piece just pops in, goes right there. You just take your thumb and you adjust the butterflies needed. I got a compression plug here, and just kind of getting everything buttoned up. My circlips are definitely in. I almost forgot, but I know that's in now. Everything's lubricated, and I'm just about to put the starter on. The muffler's tight. I got to figure out my bolts here. I'm missing a couple bolts. They had fallen out. I noticed on this, everything was loose on this saw, like everything except for the engine bolts. But man, the spark plug was loose. The compression was loose. Wasn't even tight, and just all the screws for the handles and stuff weren't tight. So it just vibrates bad. Man, this is the worst thing about a 394. This they've got two holes here that will drip oil, and that is this one here holds the dog on, and then this hole over here. So you got to silicone them up so they don't leak. Doesn't help that the muffler's bent either, but so that's that. Almost done.